Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to unlock a really fascinating wellness secret from one of Ayurveda's most important texts, the Ashtanga Hridya. We're jumping straight into chapter 20, which reveals an incredible therapy for, well, pretty much everything above the shoulders.
So let me just ask you, are you tired of those stubborn headaches that just refuse to leave? You know the ones. Or what about that nagging neck pain? Or that sinus pressure that just seems to cloud up your whole day? If you're nodding along to any of that, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this.
Okay, so let's start with the problem itself, what we're calling ailments above the shoulders. It turns out ancient Ayurvedic physicians were incredibly focused on figuring out how to treat these very specific and very common issues. And what's so interesting is just how broad their focus was. We're not just talking about a little tension. The text gets into things like chronic stiffness in your head, neck, and jaw, but it also covers stuff like rhinitis, toothaches, facial paralysis, even tremors and difficulties with speech. I mean, it's a truly complete approach to wellness for this entire part of the body. So, what was this ancient solution they came up with? Well, the text presents this really unique and honestly powerful idea, and it all centers on one specific part of the body, the nose, which they saw as an ancient gateway. And this practice has a name. It's called nasya. Simply put, it's the Ayurvedic therapy of putting medicine directly through the nasal passages. And why? With the very specific goal of treating all those diseases and issues happening in the parts of the body above the shoulders. Now, to really get the logic behind this, we've got to go straight to the source, right? Chapter 20 of the Ashtanga Hridaya gives us this foundational principle right here in its original Sanskrit. And the translation, well, it couldn't be clearer. It literally means the nose is the gateway for the head. Think about that. The whole idea is that by using the nasal passages, you have a direct superhighway for medicine to reach the entire head and neck. It's a really profound insight, especially when you consider the direct connection between our nasal cavity and our brain. But here's the thing, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Ayurveda is all about personalization. So Nasya itself is actually a whole system with 3 distinct paths to wellness, depending on what's going on with you. This chart lays it out perfectly. First, you've got Virachana Nasya. Think of this one as a deep clean, a purgation. It's used for what Ayurveda calls copper-related issues, so things like that feeling of heaviness in the head, colds, or stiffness. Then there's Brahmana Nasya, which is all about nourishing and strengthening. This is the go-to for Vata-related problems, like certain kinds of headaches, migraines, or dryness. And finally, there's Shamana Nasya, which is a more soothing, palliative approach for Pitta-related conditions, like certain skin issues, hair loss, or eye problems. Now, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But the ancient texts were also incredibly practical. They didn't just tell you what to do. They laid out really clear guidelines for who this therapy is for, and just as importantly, who it's not for. Which, of course, brings us to the big question you're probably asking yourself right now. Is Nasya therapy right for you? Well, the text gives us some very specific guidance on that. According to the Ashtanga Hridaya, this therapy is specifically recommended for people who are dealing with a particular set of ailments. You can see them here. Things like stiffness of the head, lockjaw, stubborn toothaches, rhinitis, tonsillitis, facial paralysis, and even goiter. But, and this is so crucial in Ayurveda, it's all about balance. So the text is just as clear about when you should absolutely avoid nasya. It's not for when you have indigestion or right after you've washed your hair. It's also a no-go during pregnancy or after drinking alcohol. And get this, it even advises against it on cloudy days, which just shows you that deep connection to the natural world. So beyond treating specific problems, the text also describes these really profound long-term wellness benefits for people who make nasya a regular practice. And this is what we can call the promise of nasya. And the results they talk about are pretty remarkable. The text claims that with regular practice, you get stronger sense organs like sharper smell, sight, and hearing. It talks about having well-developed shoulders and chest, really bright, clear skin, and even the disappearance of gray hairs. It's really presented as this incredibly powerful tool for total rejuvenation. So, as we wrap up our little deep dive into chapter 20, it really leaves you with a pretty compelling thought, doesn't it? Could an ancient practice, all centered on this simple idea that the nose is the gateway to the head, actually hold a key to our very modern search for wellness? Something to think about.